Jed Dugger is getting a lot of attention following his latest appearance. The 25-year-old has been documenting the pregnancy of his wife, Katey. The two are currently expecting twin baby girls, and many are excited for their growing family, especially Jim Bob and Michelle. However, it seems the life of a husband and father has changed many things about Jed. Jed and Katey are not as active on social media as the other married couples in the family today. They occasionally share vlogs and photos, especially when celebrating special days. Last September, the Counting On alums shared that they've been renovating their house to fit for their upcoming twins. Katey painted one of their walls with flowers and began shopping for other baby products. Meanwhile, there are speculations that Jed is still working at his family's business, Champion Motor Cars, in Springdale, Arkansas. But one of his latest appearances caught many Redditors off guard. Some Redditors discussed one of Jed Dugger's recent IG posts featuring photos from his Thanksgiving with Katey and their kids. "So much to be thankful for. Happy Thanksgiving from our family to yours," the Counting On alum captioned. But what caught the attention of many was Jed's new look. According to some, it seems that he had gained some weight after a long absence on social media. Others agreed and even struggled to recognize him at first. Here are some of the comments Jed received. "Ironic how Jed fat-shamed her for eating while pregnant, and now he has a gut as big as her bump while she is in third trimester with twins. They had a good photographer." The placement of Kathy's hand covering Jed's weak and slash or double chin is the work of a seasoned professional who knows what they are doing. "Is his head so small that her hand can cover that much of it? Do I have tiny hands? Mine cannot cover that much of my husband's face. What is the opposite of a bobblehead?" I think because he allowed this photo, he is oblivious to how fat he has gotten and how much more receded his hairline is. Uvi looks like his brother, who is in jail from the hairline to the gut. The boys were cute when they were little, but once they get to 20, they age faster than an open milk carton. Katey Duggar is expected to welcome her twin girls early next year. There are speculations that the Counting On alum may give birth sometime in January. The last updates also indicate that Katey's pregnancy has been healthy. Katey is not the only expecting member of the Duggar family today. Junior is also expecting her third child with Jeremy Volo next year.
For a time, the Duggars were one of the most famous families on reality television. Their television career started with 19 Kids and Counting, captivating audiences with their conservative lifestyle and strong religious beliefs. The series ran on TLC for 10 seasons, premiering in 2008. But it came to a shocking end in 2015 when the family's eldest son, Josh Duggar, was exposed for inappropriately touching minors, including his own sisters. His parents, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, chose to handle the situation privately with their church rather than report it to the authorities. Their cover-up was exposed years later, but the damage was done. It sparked widespread backlash, leading TLC to cancel the long-running show. The Duggars seemed to get a second chance with their spin-off show, Counting On, which premiered in 2015. While the show didn't feature Josh or his family, it did follow some of his siblings as they navigate adulthood, including marriage and children. The show ran for 11 seasons before TLC canceled it and cut ties with the family for good after Josh was arrested for possessing CSAM, though he denies it was his. Josh was subsequently sentenced to 12 years in prison, leaving his family's reputation disgraced. While Josh's actions are unforgivable, and he should never been given a platform on TV again, it's unfortunate that his siblings have to bear the consequences of his actions, including the cancellation of the family's shows, which represented significant sources of income. Perhaps it's time to consider giving the Duggar siblings another opportunity on TV to share their stories and reclaim their family's reputation. While Josh is responsible for his actions, his parents also deserve to shoulder some of the blame, since they hid Josh's crimes. Fans have criticized Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar for keeping Josh in the house, even though he posed a risk to their other children. Even during Josh's trial, both his parents and wife Anna, whom he shares 7 kids with, supported him, showing up in person at many of the hearings. In contrast, many of Josh's siblings have distanced themselves from their family and spoken out against their brother, as well as their parents. Jill Dillard has been especially vocal, making many revelations in her memoir Counting the Cost and the Amazon documentary Shiny Happy People. Jill has claimed her parents created a controlling environment and criticized them for how they handled Josh's inappropriate behavior. Jill also says she wasn't paid for her appearances on 19 Kids and Counting, and that her father was in control of all the money the family earned from the TLC series. Jill's sister Jinger Duggar has also called out her family's strict beliefs, such as in her book Becoming Free Indeed, where she describes her upbringing as harmful and cult-like. It's clear that many of the Duggar siblings don't hold the same views as their parents, and they're just as horrified over Josh's crimes as the rest of the world was. It's unfair their lives and livelihoods have been affected by circumstances beyond their control. A new reality show would be a huge financial opportunity for the Duggar siblings. They were apparently making anywhere between $25,000 to $40,000 per episode on 19 Kids and Counting On. A new spin-off would provide financial independence for the Duggars, who are trying to build their own lives outside of their parents' and brothers' shadow. Perhaps more importantly, a new show would also allow the family to reclaim the narrative and share their side of the story. Many of the siblings have already done this, sharing their unfiltered thoughts in books, interviews, documentaries, and more, which has probably already offered them a decent paycheck. But reality TV is a larger platform. The producers would have plenty of interesting material to work with, and given that there continues to be interest in the controversial family, a spin-off is already set up for success. The Duggar siblings deserve a chance to step out of the shadow cast by their brother's crimes and parents' controversial beliefs and actions. It's clear not all of them share the same values, and a new series would let them prove this to the world and re-establish themselves in pop culture relevance. While Josh should never appear on TV again, except for crime documentaries exposing his actions, there's a strong case for bringing back his younger siblings in a fresh spin-off that would let them reclaim their voices and rebuild their reputation. Anna has been raising the 7 children she shares with Josh in Tontitown, Arkansas, while she waits for her disgraced husband to serve his 151-month prison sentence. The U.S. Sun has obtained exclusive photos of Anna for the first time in years, appearing solemn at a community event on December 10. Now, the U.S. Sun can exclusively reveal more photos of Anna days later, as she appeared in better spirits with friends. In the photos, Anna smiled as she walked from her car to a local community event on December 12. Anna's outfit was a far cry from her clothing looks when her husband Josh was around, as she wore a black silk shirt and tight blue jeans. She topped off the rule-breaking look, as the Duggar religion prefers women to wear long dresses and skirts, with a gray blazer. Anna had her brunette hair curled for the outing. A source told the U.S. Sun she went to the event with some of her children. She looked like she was having a great time. She was smiling and joking around with a friend. In video obtained by the U.S. Sun, Anna could be seen walking with her daughter and laughing with a friend. Anna could be seen wearing her wedding ring, as she showed her continued support of her husband. Anna's cheery attitude is a contrast to days prior, as she appeared solemn while walking back to her car from a separate event on December 10. Anna wore a beige and brown sweater and blue jeans at the community event. She seemed downcast while walking to her car with one of her children, who was not pictured. The U.S. Sun previously reported on Anna's lonely life in Arkansas while she raises their 7 children: Mackenzie, Michael, Marcus, Meredith, Mason, Mariella, and Madison. Anna still lives in the warehouse on her in-laws' compound. While Anna's children are homeschooled, they participate in local sports. Anna has turned to dog breeding to provide for her family. Anna filed a business license for Golden Grove Pups, LLC in May 2024. Social media pages, which the U.S. Sun can confirm are Anna's company, reveal she breeds golden retrievers. Some of the photos even show the puppies in the warehouse, as the distinct floors match. Anna remains close to the Duggar family, as she has been spotted in the background of family events, including sister-in-law Jana's August wedding to Stephen Wisman. Anna regularly visits her husband in prison with their children. A family member of an inmate imprisoned with Josh previously told the U.S. Sun that Anna visits her husband frequently with their 7 kids. The insider claimed, "We've seen Anna at visitation fairly regularly. I've spoken to Anna a couple of times. Normally the only thing I've seen is Anna and then their kids. I don't really know anybody else." Anna's continued support isn't surprising, as she attended every court hearing leading up to the nearly 2-week trial, where she sat in the first row of the gallery every day. Ahead of his sentencing, she wrote a letter to the Arkansas judge pleading for her husband to receive a lenient sentencing, as the prosecution demanded he receive 20 years behind bars. Her letter read, "Joshua has worked hard to provide for me and our 7 children. But the happiest part of the day by far is when Daddy comes home from work and his cheerful voice fills the house. Hey, guys. How's it going? What did you learn about in school today?" are usually the conversation starters in between greeting each of our children. Joshua is an engaged dad who gladly throws a football with his sons, listens to our daughters play a new song they have learned on the piano, helps answer homework questions, or lends a hand sweeping up spilled crackers. Anna, who married Josh in 2008, added, "He is a kind, loving, supportive, and caring father and husband, his primary focus in life. My children and I rely on Joshua for financial, emotional, and physical support. Many others depend on Joshua too." The U.S. Sun also obtained photos of Josh for the first time in years walking on the prison grounds on November 22. In the pictures, Josh wore a brown shirt, shorts, and sunglasses during the solo walk. Josh sported a mustache and beard. The former used car lot owner appeared to be in good spirits while walking around the track. Josh was last seen in 2022 when a prison photo leaked of him behind bars. He was on house arrest before going to trial in December 2021. Josh was sentenced to 151 months in FCI Seagoville in May 2022. He was transferred to FCI Seagoville in June of that year. His legal team filed an appeal to overturn the conviction and have a new trial in October 2022. The appeal was denied in November 2023. The Supreme Court then officially denied the conviction appeal in 2024. His release date is October 2, 2032. In certain circles, the Duggars can do no wrong. To put it in political terms, the family has a low ceiling but a high floor. They'll never gain the immense popularity of more mainstream reality stars, such as the Kardashians or the Real Housewives, but like President Trump, they enjoy the support of a core group of deeply entrenched fans who will never abandon them, no matter what comes to light. Instead, the Duggars flourished in the years that followed. They stepped away from television only briefly before returning with the 19 Kids spin-off, Counting On. As with the family's first foray into television, the series has never been a ratings juggernaut, but it does well enough to justify its production budget. Counting On was recently renewed for an 11th season, partially because it's insanely cheap to produce, and partially because the Duggar faithful would happily tune in to watch Jana read from a phone book. One of the reasons the show is so cheap despite its massive cast is the fact that Jim Bob pockets his family's earnings, but that's a conversation for another time. Of course, fame comes at a significant price for the Duggars, whose critics far outnumber their supporters. Seeing your every move and your very belief system torn to shreds every time you log on to Twitter or Facebook would be exhausting for anyone. But Jim Bob has a safeguard against criticism fatigue. In this way, too, the family a lot like the Trump administration. Except instead of Trump aides carefully filtering the media message in order to protect their boss feelings, it's Jim Bob sheltering his children from facts and opinions that he deems harmful. The ongoing Duggars versus Sanity war has given rise to entire online communities, such as the Duggarsnark subreddit, where critics of the family can express their distaste with humorous memes and frustrated tirades. The situation is enough to raise the question of why Jim Bob would continue to subject his family to an endless barrage of criticism. The answer, in a word, is money. If it weren't for the fact that Jim Bob was desperate for cash, the 19 kids/counting on franchise likely would have come to an end years ago. Insiders have described Jim Bob as a high-class hoarder who's forever overextending himself with ambitious business ventures that rarely yield a profit. And so, he continues to present his children to the world as punching bags so that might continue to line his pockets. But the routine is unsustainable, and these days, Jim Bob is dealing with a new threat from within. In recent months, the feud between Jim Bob and Dillard has shined a light on the ugly side of the Duggars' business practices. It was Derek who called Jim Bob out for embezzling money from his own children. And now, Derek's message seems to be having an effect on Jim Bob's longest-suffering victims, his daughters. It's been reported that a full-blown anti-Jim Bob rebellion is underway, spearheaded by fan favorites Jill and Jessa. There was a time when we didn't think anything could turn the Duggar faithful away from Jim Bob. But it's possible even the most die-hard fans, the ones who deafened themselves against the facts, will finally listen up when Jim Bob's daughters speak out. Jill Dillard and her husband Derek are saying hell no to yet another one of the Duggar family's tried and true traditions, homeschooling their kids. Jill, who has bucked her family's rules by cutting her hair, wearing pants, and skipping family gatherings, took another step toward breaking away from Duggarland when she announced over the weekend that she and Derek had enrolled their oldest son, Israel, in a public school's kindergarten class. In a video posted to her family's YouTube page, Jill showed the whole family, including their youngest son Samuel, registering Israel into kindergarten. Jill didn't mention it in the video, but Israel will be the first school-aged Duggar grandchild who is not being homeschooled. Jill and her 18 siblings were all homeschooled, as is common with the Fundy families, and Jill's parents, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, have frequently spoken out about the benefits of homeschooling. Even Jill homeschooled Israel at one point. In March 2019, she wrote about her homeschooling techniques on her family's blog, mentioning in the comment section that, unlike other Duggars, she was not using the religion-based ATI wisdom books for schooling. In her posts about Israel registering for public school, Jill was met with both praise and plenty of negativity. Many pro-homeschoolers were angry that Jill and Derek chose a public school for their son, but Derek explained on Instagram that they wanted Israel in public school now that he's older. "We've homeschooled for almost 5 years, but now he's old enough for school," Derek told one person who asked why they made the switch to public school. In the comment section of the blog post, Derek and Jill told one naysayer, who called public schools indoctrination centers for evil, that they try to prayerfully consider each step we take and not just run on autopilot. Jill's reluctance to follow Duggar family protocol does not appear to be well received by her family. In fact, at press time, her sister Jana Duggar was the only one of Jill's siblings who liked Jill's Instagram post about the kindergarten registration. Fans may not be too surprised to see that Jill is going away from her family's homeschool ways. After all, the rift between her husband and her father has been acknowledged by Derek for months. The Ashley reported in December that Derek was airing the Duggar family dirty laundry on social media, and that Derek was very against his family rejoining the Counting on cast. "No chance of that unless something changes," Derek replied when asked if he and Jill would begin to appear on the show more frequently. The conditions we were filming under took us to the brink of sanity and could have easily destroyed our lives if we had continued that trajectory. We are now trying to pick up the pieces. You can watch the video Jill posted about Israel's kindergarten registration below. Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar are as busy as ever. While several of their children have married and moved out of their expansive home in Springdale, Arkansas, the media-savvy couple isn't slowing down. Aside from appearing on Counting On, Jim Bob has a pretty extensive real estate business going, and he just added a big sale to his list of achievements. Jim Bob has officially unloaded a mansion he purchased several years ago for a pretty tidy profit. The Duggar family no longer has to worry about the upkeep on an expansive piece of property they owned in Arkansas. The Baylor Mansion, a large home inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright, is officially sold. The house, built in the 1960s, has 4 separate kitchens, a massive stone patio, and a 3.5-car garage. The mansion was never going to be an easy sell. In fact, it sat on the market for months, primarily because its size and price tag were seriously unique for the area. The average home in Springdale, Arkansas, sells for just $175,000. Even large homes, offering several acres of land and 5 bedrooms, sell for a fraction of what the Duggars were asking for their mansion. The average sale price for a 5-bedroom property in Springdale is $389,000. According to Zillow, more than $1 million less than the sale price of the Baylor Mansion. Jim Bob purchased the home back in 2014, along with another property, for just over $300,000, according to Today. The property was bank-owned and had been neglected for some time. The Duggar family took to renovating the 10,000-square-foot home with the intention of flipping it, but renovations took a long time. In fact, they didn't put the property on the market until 2019, more than 4 years after they took ownership. Initially listed for $1.8 million, the property sat on the market for several months before it was removed from real estate listings. They relisted the property in December 2019, this time with updated pictures and staging. The sale was finalized in February 2020 for more than $1.5 million, according to Realtor. The Duggar family may have purchased the property for a fraction of what it fetched when it finally sold, but that doesn't mean they necessarily cleaned up. The family is rumored to have put more than $1 million into the renovations, meaning they likely turned a profit of around $300,000 when you factor in the other property that they purchased in the deal. The family also spent a substantial amount of time working on the project, although they insisted it was a fun endeavor that the entire family was involved with. When Jed Dugger married Lauren Swanson back in 2018, it was assumed the duo would reside in the home. That didn't happen though. Instead, they were gifted one of the smaller homes in Jim Bob's portfolio. Joseph Duggar and his wife, Kendra Caldwell, also reside in a house owned by his father. Jessa Duggar and her husband, Ben Seawald, also lived in a Duggar-owned home before purchasing it outright in 2017. Joy Anna Duggar and her husband, Austin Forreth, recently purchased a home from Jim Bob too. They paid just $10 for their house.